Alright, welcome to the stream here, folks. This is Bad at Fighting Games presents One Punch Combo, a fighting game podcast, episode 9, King of Fighters 15 delayed. I'm Raisin B-Man, a guy who is coincidentally enjoying King of Fighters. They're doing, there's a podcast, Kane and Rents, and they're doing a King of Fighters 15 show. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to contribute because I'm new to that, but I've been trying to expand my fighting game horizons, and actually I'm finding it pretty fun. I'm doing a 2002 unlimited match. I actually have 13 probably from some Humble Bundle or something, so I'll be checking out those two at minimum and hopefully can contribute to their show in a little bit. But if you want to chat while the podcast is being streamed, you can join me live on Twitch at RaisinBman. Yeah, we have a pretty full news docket here. It seems like everybody's firing on all cylinders. We've got Guilty Gear Strive about to come out. King of Fighters unfortunately delayed, but really it actually didn't have a release date because I was just curious, and considering how much I was enjoying Samurai Showdown, I kind of wanted to support them, but they don't even have a Steam page up for the game. I don't know if that's, well, I checked pretty recently and it wasn't true. So I imagine it's still not true, which is kind of crazy. There's so many games now that they announce themselves and they say, hey, give us money right now. But we don't even have a Steam page for King of Fighters 15, so I imagined it was pretty far off. And then on top of that, you've got COVID, but at the same time, they were releasing character trailers pretty regularly, so I thought we were really ramping up to, and I imagine that they wanted to premiere this for EVO, but then again, EVO's lineup was already announced, so maybe they just decided, well, we'll get into it a little bit, there's not much to go on, of course, but maybe they just decided to take their time and everything. But anyway, let's get into the proper news section here. This is a fighting game podcast. It is monthly, One Punch Combo. We also have a weekly podcast, which is an anime and manga podcast, which we just did, and that's every Saturday. This podcast is monthly on the first Saturday of every month. One Punch Combo, we'll go through the news mostly, and we'll have some tournament stuff at the end. But yeah, let's get into it here. Thanks for tuning in, Academy Impossible, Commander Root, Swampiest. Right, so we'll go into our news. Again, we're firing on all cylinders here. This has been kind of a worst kept secret in the gaming industry. Virtua Fighter 5, basically, it was confirmed by probably rating boards or rating leaks, I don't remember. But of course, people really just disappointed and keeping their emotions in check when it comes to Sega, which is understandable. Maximilian, the fighting game YouTuber, he had a pretty good quote when he was discussing Sega, and it's sort of like, when have they done anything really interesting, really exciting since the Dreamcast was around? They don't really take risks anymore. We see them sort of shining with Yakuza, but they seem pretty content otherwise to just sort of sell us really, really bad Sonic games, which people buy, which is why there are a lot of really, really bad Sonic games, and not much else. But yeah, Virtua Fighter was revealed, was launched. It's actually on PlayStation Plus, so there's no real harm in grabbing it if you want to do that. But Jinx.tv brings us a story, that's Jinx with a G. And they sort of review it saying it's a classic fighter and a lackluster passage. I mean, this is the third time they've released Virtua Fighter. That being said, I believe the last Virtua Fighter did not have online or great online. And so we sort of get into this interesting discussion to where it doesn't have rollback, which is going to be a red flag for a lot of people who are really interested in fighting games. But it does apparently have some sort of... I have it somewhere in the stories here, so hopefully I don't repeat myself. Okay, yeah, here we go. .esports.com goes into it a little bit further, but on the Giant Bombcast, they were sort of discussing about how the netcode was actually pretty good, even though it wasn't rollback. It's delayed netcode, which a lot of fighting games players kryptonite. They don't want to hear that, but supposedly the netcode is good, and they have like some sort of setup to where it has dedicated or relay servers. That's again, we're mixing in a lot of stories here, but eventhubs.com. But it was also on the Giant Bombcast. They have some sort of dedicated servers like directly from Google or something like that. Let's look at this Event Hubs article and see. Can find out any more detail. So the producer, Aoki Morigi, spoke about this basically. Still combing through this article here. So, and Beast Coast Sabin brings up here how Sega was announcing, and this is the same company that brought us Blast Processing, announced they would have they would be able to absorb lag. They would have some sort of absorbent netcode. I'm still trying to find out exactly where, because they're not really doing a great job of this Event Hub article of putting out where uh, the Moroji speaks about it. Okay, well, they didn't actually, and this is why I don't like Event Hubs. 30% of their pages are fluff articles, and in the article that I'm actually looking for stuff, they don't have what I need and what sort of evidence is there. But yeah, so on the Giant Bombcast, they said that basically people were doing some sleuthing, and they had some pretty good servers and like some Google servers, dedicated servers. So even though Sega did not invest in the game a great amount, it seems like they're pretty serious. For those of you who don't know, this is also known as the Esports Edition. That's only in Japan, I think, but Sega is really trying to push forward with Virtua Fighter. I guess they're not content with having their characters star in Dead or Alive, seeing as that series not doing great. I mean, maybe financially they've got some sales with the microtransactions, but yeah. But yeah, so that's interesting to hear, and of course it is on PS Plus, and for many of us that means it's free. So why not give it a try? Moving on here, we have another Jinx.TV story. TSM Leffen concerned for the safety after hacks. I'm not familiar with the player, but you probably are if you know what if you know what we're talking about. Sorry, this ad popped up. Smash Pro Hacks released a 136 page, again, 136 page document and 2.5 hour YouTube video on Friday detailing a bewildering array of allegations against Leffen, accusing him of running a totalitarian regimen, acting like Hitler. Holy, I can't see the actual page, man. These ads. The allegations run the gamut from wearing certain clothes to send a message to hacks accusing him of having a dark triad mentality. And Leffen tweets, concerned with safety and looking into getting a lawyer. Leffen is popular and known in the community as being toxic, but I imagine this definitely goes over the line. Hacks is charging Leffen with totalitarianism. So this video is still up on Hacks' channel if you'd like to check it out, but seems like people are a bit worried about Hacks' mental health. I don't know what you want to call it, but FGC, always gonna have some drama for you, I guess. Jinx.com brings us another story. Street Fighter Pro BLK. BLK Shadow banned indefinitely by Capcom for raging against opponents. Again, we pretty much do these stories every month now where somebody's getting banned or getting fined or getting an automatic loss or something. You got to realize, especially with Capcom, if you're doing esports, you have to act in a certain manner, and that's just the role you're playing. The person was from Chile. He insulted his opponent and tournament organizers after being asked to perform an internet test speed. It sounds like this person was not working with a full set of quarters here. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're going to be that visible, you may, you gotta watch what you're doing. We're in 2021. This is not the Stone Ages where you can do whatever you want in private or be an asshole and just think you're gonna get away with it. All right, but moving on. So this is another one. So I didn't even realize that Daigo, I don't really follow fighting game news until I end up doing my podcast. Because otherwise I'd have to sift through the mire that is Event Hubs. Jinx.tv tells us that Daigo had COVID. In my case, I didn't realize he had it, and he survived it. Yeah, he was apparently hospitalized and had pneumonia. He is an older guy, approaching 40, but definitely glad he survived. That's Japan was one of the countries that handled the coronavirus better, but apparently still, well, as we'll get into with some stories, they in general in the news, there's been a surge of cases because countries are not taking it seriously. I know I listened to Filthy Casuals, and they've had to go into quarantine a number of times once again because they only had a handful of cases in the entire country, but that's how infectious this stuff is and how dangerous it is. Another Jinx.tv article, because we can't stay out of the drama because we are the FGC. A low-tier god accused of harassing and doxing YouTuber for 2 years over documentary. The infamous FGC personality has been trying to take down June's rise and fall of low-tier god, video, with his efforts proving unsuccessful. I like how the article actually, this isn't me saying this, the article is saying there are few people as unhinged as in the FGC as Low Tier God, who has garnered a reputation for being a sore loser, often crossing boundaries of regular trash talk, making things personal. From mocking Brawly Legs, who's a disabled guy, to calling Viscant a crackhead. Yeah, these ads are really freaking invasive. Here we go. Can I get rid of this ad? Yeah, so June is saying he's had harassment and doxing for the past 2 years. So confusing when they switch from the player names to the actual names. But I guess that's what they do in actual news stories, right? Um, Low tier god threatened with legal action. Low tier god is permanently banned from Twitch and is currently on YouTube. I guess that's the popular move now. With his channel being far from a major hit, the infamous figure has developed a reputation for flagging other content creators that, according to him, target Low Tier God for ad revenue. I mean, it doesn't really seem like Low Tier God is in a position to actually pursue legal action against June, but who knows? Maybe that'll be part of the desperate attempt. I mean, in fact, it seems like June has the better legal case than Low Tier God. Uh, Another Jinx.tv story here. This one is a little bit less dramified. Riot confirms fans won't get their hands on Project L this year. I think we may have discussed this next one, another Jinx.tv story. Capcom unbans Cero Blast for racist comments, issues ultimatum. Yeah, the ultimatum is be on good behavior or you're permabanned. Um, Jinx.tv again. We've got our Street Fighter patch notes. This is patch. Didn't name this patch easy. This is not an easy to say patch name, but 2021-05. You think they would stick with a patch, 1.0 and all that stuff. Speaking of patches, Jinx.tv brings us Tekken 7. We got patch 4.12. Jinx.tv again. King of Fighters 15 is delayed, which is our main news story here. Yeah, so this is really unsurprising. Well, maybe a little bit surprisingly. For safety reasons, they are making sure everyone, is doing good and not putting themselves in danger or in crunch or getting COVID, which is why they're delaying King of Fighters 15. So it just has a broad release window of Q1 2022. And so the article brings up, and something else I'm also curious with is we are basically getting weekly announcements between Samurai Showdown and King of Fighters, if that's going to slow down with them delaying the game entirely. Uh, and in another bit of controversial news, Jinx.tv brings us the story. Injustice 2 makes players beat up bisexual character to celebrate Pride Month. So some real unfortunate decisions there. They did apologize for it. Moving on, we have Dot Esports, where they oh no, actually we already discussed this in our Virtua Fighter segment. But Dot Esports does tell us that Virtua Fighter has a retro DLC pack. So if you want those 2D block, well, not 2D, but 3D blocky skins, you can grab them. Dot Esports again. Nintendo partners with Play Versus for official high school Splatoon and Smash esports. So Smash community has had some trouble in terms of official stuff. So this is Nintendo officially giving the go ahead. So I would jump on that if you are a Smasher. Dot Esports tells us Blue Mary is joining King of Fighters 15. Esports again. Twitch rivals Mortal Kombat X lives tournament series is put on hold due to players being doxxed. This is sort of headed by Maximilian. Yeah, so unfortunately, like much doxing, somebody was posting addresses. To multiple players. Several users have mentioned that the person responsible for doxing has been active for several weeks, posting clips of another MKX player, July Saline, being kicked from an online event on May 4th. So yeah, that's really sad and dumb. I do think they did finish that. We'll have some more information in our tournament section later in. Dot Esports again. The Team Akari is now complete with Ralph Jones and Clark Still joining King of Fighters 15. Injustice Gods Among Us is getting a animated movie, which we sort of already had in the form of the video game and the second video game, but it'll be better than the Snyder Cut, so I'll take it. Dot Esports again, fighting game fan creates custom fighting game glossary, so this is pretty cool. I heard about this a little bit, but it's something that's definitely necessary. Infilament is apparently the maker of this. So over 650 carefully explained with 200 video examples and Japanese translations. You can search easily by game or share links, terms with your friends. But not to step on Info's toes here, but that's definitely something I feel is a weakness for the fighting game community. With the Strive beta, the Guilty Gear Strive beta, I ended up picking up Nagayuki, and there's this combo, and I didn't know how to do it because it was referring to me doing a sweep, but the game does not tell you how to do a sweep. But I eventually found out the sweep button is your dust button. So that seems like it could have been resolved much easier if I had this glossary set up. And again, me getting into King of Fighters, I have to see what they're talking about there. So yeah, universal, if it is universal, glossary would be a pretty good deal. Yeah, so good stuff there. I'm probably going to need to check that out myself. And so another big one here, something that was really annoying. This article is from .esports, by the way. Something really that was really annoying when I was really into Samurai Showdown 2019 is on the subreddit in general, people would not stop asking for the Steam version, despite the fact that there was a Stadia version and I believe a Epic Game Store version. People kept saying, when is it going to be on Steam? If you really wanted to play on PC that badly, you could have been doing Google Stadia. I'm not saying Google Stadia is perfect, but the amount of effort people put into asking for a PC version when they could have, with that time and effort, bought a PS4, Xbox 360, and actually played the game seems kind of wasted. But anyway, the news story is that Amakusa is going to be in the game on June 14th. He's a villain from some of the previous games, and it's coming to Steam on June 14th. So those people can finally shut up, but most likely they're trolls and they're going to find something else to complain about in terms of Samurai Showdown. Let me guess, rollback netcode. Another .esports article. Tia Sabin joined Beast Coast as the first Street Fighter V player and content producer. .esports again. Arc System Works reveals Guilty Gear Strive story trailer. There's basically a bunch of content for Guilty Gear Strive, so I'm not really going to go over all of it because, of course, it is releasing. And in fact, we had something yesterday, which I'll talk about a bit. Or rather, I guess it was this morning. Excuse me. .esports again is telling us that Leona is joining King of Fighters 15. .esports, we have a Chun-Li gameplay trailer. .esports again with Rio and Robert revealed for King of Fighters 15. And Fighters Generation, Asuka of the WWE did motion capture for Virtua Fighter 5 and apparently loves fighting games, which is cool. It's also a little bit of a relief to hear that Sega was not completely cashing it in with Virtua Fighter 5. Actually, I'm not sure. Is this the new Virtua Fighter 5, or did she do the original voice acting for, not voice acting, but motion capture for Virtua Fighter 5? Okay, she did motion capture for for Virtua Fighter 5 back in 2006. Huh. Another Fighter Generation story. Metal Revolution Worldwide closed beta begins. This is a 2D fighter by Next Studio featuring cast of 14 cybernetic characters. So you can check that out if you'd like. There is in fact a mobile version as well. At some point in Tekken's future, Fighters Generation tells us there's going to be a Tekken 7 free cosmetic update / balance patch. I know in particular the Coffee and Combos guys were complaining that some of the older characters, because Tekken 7, if you think about it, is a pretty old game. Some of the older characters don't look as good as some of the newer characters from newer DLC seasons. Another Fighter Generation story. Blazing Strike is coming to consoles and PC in 2022. It's published by Axis Games. Coming to a number of seasons, a number of systems, rather. This is supposed to be an homage to a classic pixel art based 2D fighters. Trying to see if this is a Kickstarter or something. So it seems it does have GGPO, it does have rollback netcode. Yeah, I was assuming it's Kickstarter, but apparently they just made it and Axis got behind it. Fighter Generation again. Skullgirl's second encore reveals new character Umbrella, who is the sister of Parasol, and has a very similar mechanic if you're up on your Guilty Gear Strive to Blood Rage. Well, actually, it's not that uncommon in fighting games anymore. The sort of the rage meter, the revenge mechanic. Not exactly like that, but Umbrella has her Umbrella, which I believe is, I don't know if it's a parasite or not, but anyway, it doesn't really matter for the sake of the story. It gets hungry, and so you have to feed it, but you can't overstuff it, so you want it, they have a number of namings. You don't want it starving, but you do want it ravenous, and so I'm guessing it'll be really apparent to you once you get your hands on it, but also when you can see the meters and such. Fighter Generation tells us Arcana Heart 3 Extend update with new characters are now available. And we move on. Event Hub story. Persona 5 Arena appears to still be alive, at least for Atlas. There was a number of patent renewals, and one of them was for a possible Persona 5 Arena site. But part of the reason why I personally didn't think this was going to happen is because they did Persona 5 Scramble and moved on in that direction. In 2016, the director of Persona 4 Arena said, they want to make the next one happen, but of course, time and money are really going to be determining factors. And even when they were doing Anime X Anime, BlazBlue Cross, they wanted to save ideas for future BlazBlue and Persona projects. So there is hope there. I don't know how hopeful you should be, but there you go. And so this is just a rumor, and I want everyone to keep in mind that Ed Boon is pretty much a troll when it comes to this sort of stuff. But considering how Marvel has shit the not Marvel, excuse me, how Capcom has shit the bed with Marvel's Capcom Infinite, this is more true than it is false, I'd say. Rumors of this story brought to us by Event Hubs. Rumors of NetherRealm Studios making a Marvel Comics fighting game are floating around, and Mortal Kombat Ed Boon might have just hinted at it. And of course, this is just a rumor, but it's been going around a lot of different outlets, like your kind of funnies. I'd feel better if like Imran Khan or Jason Schreier would say something definitive, but I did think I would just bring it up because, hey, we're right around E3. Who knows? Punk releases his Season 5 tier list for Street Fighter V with Blanka and Gil literally in a trash can. Fun stuff. Yeah, so this one's kind of hard to see. We'll go over the S tier and the bottom tier. S tier, I actually can't freaking see because this is so small. You have Poison, Zeku, Guile, Rashid, Cammy, Urian. Did he not put okay, he has Nadeshko at S tier, but our Mika is only B tier. Probably some sort of joke, but we're moving on. Oro S tier, trash tier, which actually is not the bottom tier, believe it or not. Blanka, Gil, and Nash, and V Trigger only is below trash tier is Nikali. So fun stuff there. This is the. I have a feeling there's some jokes in here, but I don't care about Street Fighter V, and it is a new patch, but we've seen the game be relatively balanced, and people have tended to agree with one another on tier placements. So kind of interesting. Event Hubs telling us that Project L developer of Riot Games planning to reveal an update for League of Legends for the League of Legends game pretty soon. A dev update around the end of this year. Fighting game tournaments, Event Hubs again. Should see a nice upgrade with Sony and Discord in a new partnership. And this is sort of interesting as a whole because Microsoft was actually in talks to buy Discord, but I guess Discord said no, and they said, we're going to be a little bit mercenary here and just partner with PlayStation, not necessarily let them buy us. Moving on, EventHubs.com brings us Book's new Tekken 7 Season 4 tier list. In the S tier, we have Akuma Fakrakam. Actually, I have no idea. What is this guy's name? Yeah. Fakumram. Julia, Devil Jen, Leroy, and Geese Howard in the S tier. I don't like him/her in the. Okay, no. Okay, we're just gonna go over the B tier. I say that and then I forget the guy's name. Lars, Gigas, Panda, Jack 7. I really don't know who that guy is. I think he's a DLC character. Horang, Noctis, Armor King, Anna, Kiki Tekken, Eddie, that's his name. Eddie, Lucky Chloe, and Kuma in B tier, the lowest tier on this one. So not that big of a gap, but there you go. Before the recent patch, I would have said Fakumram, but Akuma is number one. Arslan Ash breaks down his tier 4 season list for Tekken 7. This is brought to us by VinHubs.com. This is a video, so we're not really going to be able to go through it, but if the thumbnail is anything to go by. It's a lot similar to the last one with Julia Farumkhan and Kuma near the top. Kumram. Let's see. Another Event Hub story. Pochoclo 23 releases optimistic early Rose matchup chart for Street Fighter V, with the fortune teller being at least even with over half of the cast. Since that's just a matchup chart, I'm not really going to go over it. New Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate Tier List combines character rankings from Sonic Fox and 3 other Mortal Kombat pros. And in this tier list, you've got S, Cetrion Joker, Jockey, Fujin. It's not Kung Lao. What is the guy's name? The main character, Liu Kang. That's his name. I believe that's Jade, Cabal, Johnny Cage, Shang Tsung. Sub-Zero. I'm forgetting the guy's name, but he was really annoying, and he's a new character. Kano, and he messes with time. I want to say his name is Gigas. No, his name is Garrus. That's what his name is. And then the D tier is Rambo all by himself. So a bit of a fall for him, sadly. Last tier list I remember from Mortal Kombat were pretty positive. I mean, you know, there definitely was a range of characters, but I believe most people had him like S to B. But for him to fall all the way to D, it sounds like they really did some tinkering. Rose was the most popular character of CPT North America West, but Dhalsim was more winning. We have Rose being most used. Cammy, Guile also up there. She wasn't seen at all in the upper brackets of this, so even though she has popularity, people really need to step up their games. But we did see Dhalsim. I believe this is saying 3 in top 8. There were 3 Dhalsims. So maybe that's the counter pick. You have Dhalsim counter picking Rose players. I don't know. Not too into the game, so you'll have to figure that out on your own time. Harada reveals which of the Mishima family are most popular, brought to us by Event Hubs. This is match usage. Kazuya second place. No, this is out of order. Excuse me. That's why I'm having issues. Hachi was in 18th place. Kazuya second place. Jin 7th place. Devil Jin 14th place, and Kasumi. Is it? Yeah, Kasumi 34th place. So another interesting story here brought to us by Event Hubs. Capcom had to actually pay Namco to use the name Street Fighter, which is why you saw Fighting Street. And the former Street Fighter 2 producer, no longer with Capcom, says they may even still be paying Namco for the usage of the name Street Fighter, because Namco owned the trademark to Street Fight, quote unquote Street Fight. It's kind of nutty, but I guess it's good that they're on good terms now. All but 6 characters can probably win tournaments in Street Fighter V, according to the 18th rank. I'm looking at CFN Warlord. Just a Kid has a tier list here. So in the S tier, we have Cammy, Rashid, Karin, Irian, Zeku, Poison, Abigail, Guile, Boxer, and Dictator. And then we'll go over the C tier and the Nash tier. Spoilers, Nash is in the Nash tier. You have, I don't even remember this chick's name. She's like a Final Fight policewoman. Anyway, she's in the C tier with Fong, Dan, Gil, and Vega. This is kind of crazy that Gil's been adjusted. I guess he's been adjusted hard because he was at least, you know, I wasn't saying his name because I go over the top tier and the bottom tier, but apparently he got adjusted or everyone else got buffed or something. But yeah. All right. Let's see. And so I brought this story out just because it's an interesting tidbit, and of course, you want stats, numbers don't lie. Cammy has won both Pro Tour events and is making waves on Twitter. I believe this was earlier in the month, and I think there was a patch, so this may have already been quelled. You know, Cammy may have been nerfed, but Cammy has pretty much always been strong in Street Fighter V, if I'm remembering correctly. Brought to us by Event Hubs. Another Event Hub story, Oro can double jump. This is pretty significant because this is not an anime fighter. Wawa releases final Season 3 tier list for Dragon Ball FighterZ. So, S plus tier, you have OG Broly, Gotenks, Base Vegeta, Android 21, and Ultra Instinct Goku. And at the bottom, B tier, you have Goku Black, Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and Yamcha. I really hope I can go back to not Street. Almost cursed myself there. I really hope I can go back to Dragon Ball FighterZ, because that gives me hope that it's pretty balanced still. Especially with people saying that SSJ4, what is it, Gogeta or whatever, really powerful, stupid powerful, but he's not even top tier in this tier list. But anyway, moving on. Justin Wong, this is a Event Hub story. Justin Wong releases new Marvel vs. Capcom 2 tier list. So in this one, he did not do tiers. He has a ratio system, which rates characters in a limited team composition format of competition, which makes sense because it is a team game. You can't say this S tier character and they have no one to support them. I'm trying. Of course, there's a video, but I was trying to see if they actually gave rationale for points, but it doesn't really. So let's just go ahead and go into the tier list here. 5 points: Sentinel, Magneto, Storm, Cable, Iron Man, and gosh, what is this lady's name? The 6-arm mutant is called Spiral. Yep. Okay. And we'll go over the bottom two, which is the 1 point tier and the 0 point tier. You have Dan, Servbot, I think it's Jen from Cyberbots, Cactus Guy, I'm forgetting his name, Shumagorath, Captain America, Chun-Li, Wolverine, both versions, Bone Claw and Adamantium Claw, and 0 points is Roll. You apparently should not be using Roll in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Yeah, so interesting stuff there. I mean, and in some cases, it's stuff that we already knew, but it's always interesting to look at the actual stats and what people think. Another Rose story. Rose is proving to be more popular than Dan. Number 3 in online usage, just behind Ken and Ryu. Rose has taken the spot for the lowest win rate, but of course, that's what happens with new characters. But it is interesting. Um, Myron releases a tier list depicting which characters can and can't win in an offline S tier event and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. There's some qualifiers there, so that's interesting. This is a really long list, so I will not go over everything, but let's go over can win in S tier. Mario, Chrom, Diddy Kong, Star Fox, Greninja, Dragon Quest Hero, Inkling, Joker, Link, Lucina, Marth. I think that's Marth. Kind of weird. I guess they changed his appearance for Ultimate a little bit. Mr. Game & Watch, Min Min, Palutena, Snake, Shulk, Roy, Pokemon Trainer, Pikachu, Peach, Olimar, Sephiroth, Wario, Wolf, and Zero Suit Samus. Those characters they believe can win stuff. Everyone else apparently cannot. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Director, this is an Event Hub story, feels rollback netcode is practically a must-have, but is unsure if they'll be able to add the feature in. So that is pretty interesting to hear them say. But of course, we live in a Corona world, so internet is and stability, especially in fighting games, is so much more important. Unfortunately, for the most part, it seems that with rollback netcode, that is something that you have to think about from the absolute start of the game. So you're not really going to see that coming to games unless they work very, very hard on it. We have seen that with older games, but I imagine they're much smaller affairs and they're easier to figure out as opposed to something huge like and of course this is a silly example like a Witcher 3. It would be harder to put rollback netcode in that than it would King of Fighters 2022. 2002, not 2022, but you know what I meant. Cammy was not only the most popular character at Asia's CPT event, as we sort of spoke about earlier, but she was 3 out of 8 in the top 8. There were 5 Cammies in total. This is a story brought to us by Event Hub. So, Cammy dominance. Yanni released a Steve matchup chart for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That's on Event Hubs if you like to check it out. And so we get to a more interesting story here, where Ram Lethal's previous Guilty Gear voice actor clarifies she happily stepped away so a black actor could fill the role. So yeah, you've got Aaron Fitzgerald used to voice Ram Lethal, and now Laura Stahl does. So this is a sort of an interesting thing, and I don't really know how I feel about it, but because even I remember not most recently, but more recently we had the fact that in Uncharted, I can't even remember the lady's name, but basically a white woman voices a black character in I think it's Uncharted Lost Legacy. And so we see this sort of movement to where some actors are stepping down, some voice actors are stepping down and letting the people of those color people of color who should be in that role be in that role. And we have, I actually was listening to, I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's Spawn on Me. Okay, Spawn on Me was interviewing a voice actor. I'm sorry for forgetting the name, but you can definitely go check out that latest episode of Spawn on Me. And was saying how sometimes voice actors, and it's becoming more prominent as you can see, are declining roles that are meant for different nationalities. Of course, because at the end of the day, the more work there is, the fairer it is. And one of the things that the voice actor said is that I guess sometimes voice actors are told it shouldn't matter who's behind the voice, and he sort of turned it around and said, "You're right, it shouldn't matter. So go ahead, and if you have a black person, put them in a black role." But especially, it gets a little bit complicated because traditionally, they're white people have opportunities, and other persons of color do not. So it's not just as simple as saying, I hate everyone equally, because if you hate everyone equally, you're not taking into account that some people get more hate than others. But moving on, I thought that was interesting, but it does seem like both of the voice actresses handled it with grace, and that's good to see. Another interesting story is that AT&T is splitting up subsidiaries to make a Discovery company, because AT&T is in the hole, and this could include Warner Bros., which means that could include NetherRealm Studios, which could include Mortal Kombat. This is a bunch of if and hypotheticals, but it is important to note. Leffen releases Guilty Gear Strive Beta 2 tier list, showcasing his early impressions. And in the S tier is Soul Bad Guy. He is ridiculous. I actually have been following Guilty Gear Strive, so I can speak on this a little bit. But it is almost never your turn versus Soul Bad Guy, so that is problematic. A tier is Ramlethal. She doesn't really have an off button. She is very dangerous, high damage. It's Sonic Fox picked her, so that should be enough evidence for you. But there you go. The lowest we have here is B- Nagoriyuki, who was nerfed pretty heavily, unfortunately. But yeah, there's that. Let me see if I can pull up. I'm not sure if I actually put this story. Come on. I know this was pretty... Huh, I thought this was pretty recent, but maybe it wasn't. Okay, I was looking up something else, but oh well. And now we have another interesting story by Event Hubs. Capcom nerfed Dan's Corner Infinite by giving a weird fireball buff. But this was not before someone got the Infinite to go off in a top 8 situation. So, bad move by Capcom. And then again, somebody says they got the Dan Infinite again. So, hopefully Capcom gets it together with this Dan Infinite. Obviously, he is not a winning character, but it really seems like they don't want infinites in Street Fighter V. I mean, maybe if this was like the freaking Guilty Gear game or Marvel, but seems like you would not want that there. On the same note, eventhubs.com, Street Fighter V's new balance update brings a number of significant changes. Justin Wong was pretty big on Eno and Eno and the Guilty Gear Strive beta. It's an Event Hub story. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid version 2.6 patch notes were released. Brought to us by Event Hubs. Matchup specific and higher level tech makes Guilty Gear Strive's mission mode looks like an excellent teaching tool deeper than most games. It's an Event Hub story, but I was surprised by that myself. On the Red Bull Kumite, they sort of went through that. And there's specific matchup stuff. And of course, if they patch things, that'll change. But that'll be huge in that I can access in the game how in the world do I handle this character, because I know, like, I don't know how to fight in Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, I have no idea how to fight Dictator. I don't know how to fight Bison at all. I know his whole thing is like he has plus frames, but I generally just have no idea how to fight him, so I end up losing that a lot. And I never learned. And with this, I would be able to just, not have to Google anything, not have to deal with annoying people, and see how to do the match. Harada of an Event Hub story, says Tekken 7 has gone on long enough. So this is an interesting story. I thought I had... Yeah, here we go. I have it in here twice for some reason. Let me just get rid of that and talk about it now that I'm there. He said that Tekken 7 has gone on long enough. And he said that if he asked the president if he wanted to make Tekken 8 the next one, the president would not say no. At the same time, Harada had previously said, prior to this, that new fighting games are expensive. I think he said $6 million at the time, and that really just in general, you can see why so many developers, especially in a Corona world, are just supporting their older games instead of doing new entries every year or two. Okay, I was a little bit out of order, but keeping on the Guilty Gear tip, eventhubs.com shows us High Fight breaking down the FAB versus Nage exhibition for Guilty Gear Strive, so you should probably check that out if that's something you're interested in. This should be in the tournament section, but let's go ahead and toss it out here. The Northeast qualifier results for Smash World Tour are out there in the wild. You can check that out. Ryu and Chun-Li are now available in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid as part of the Street Fighter pack. Brought to us by Event Hubs. Harada explained how Akuma flew under the radar in Tekken 7 for so long and why implementing fixes take time. That's an Event Hubs article, and it's a pretty interesting article. And of course, there's more to go into, but I think the main gist of it is that they knew that Akuma was hypothetically powerful, but they really needed to sit down and analyze it and tackle it. But of course, even now, he's still very powerful, and there have been no changes to him more recently. But again, with Harada, this isn't a negative thing, but he said in the past that they definitely have made sure that tiers are not just simply everyone is equal. There is some drama, there is some moving around. Thanks for tuning in, another TV viewer. And this is not the first time we've heard this from fighting game developer, that they seek to make sure that tiers are pretty not exaggerated, but that there are tier differences. It's not necessarily always about finding balance. I'm sure it's about making sure it's balanced enough, but not necessarily about making sure everything is balanced. Lord Knight releases a new tier list for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Top tier, Gotenks, Teen Gohan, OG Broly, Super Buu, or I'm sorry, that's Kid Buu. Android 21, base Vegeta, base Goku, Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, I can never remember which is which, and Ultra Instinct Goku, A tier, which is the bottom, so not much of a difference here. Well, there's 4 tiers, but still seems like not much of a difference. But anyway, A tier is Nappa, Android 16, Frieza, Goku Black, Super Saiyan Goku, and Zamasu. Our next news story, Guilty Gear Strive cut multiple modes and features due to COVID-19 work restrictions, but Arc Systems Works looks to add them post-launch. That's an Event Hub story, so keep that in mind as you enter the game. Instead of fists, you can dish up your opponent a nice meal with this official new Street Fighter cookbook. That's an Event Hub story, so check that out if you like that. But I'm kind of surprised they haven't done one of those before. Cookbooks, rather. iDom and Just a Kid released a tier list for Street Fighter V Champion Edition with help from their Twitch chat. That's a story brought to us by Event Hubs. S tier, Cammy, Rashid, Zeku, Poison, Urian, Karen, and Guile. And B- tier, Zangief, Blanca, Falk, Gil, and Dan. So pretty much what we've been seeing, but Zangief is a little bit lower here. Falk is a little bit lower. But I guess Gil is bad now. Kind of surprising. Seems like some people were really rocking Gil, or at least potential combo videos and such were in the air. Topanga has released a tier list. Topanga, if you're not familiar, these are your Japanese pros, sort of a little bit of a collective there. The newest patch. Yeah, so in the S tier you have Cammy, Karin, Minat, Rashid, Guile, Urian, M. Bison, Abigail, and then the D tier, you have Alex, Gil, Rose, and Dan. So it looks like Rose, she may be new, but she is not good according to the Japanese. Japanese arcade version of Guilty Gear Strive delayed due to COVID-19, brought to us by Event Hubs. And we covered this before on the podcast, but the indie fighter Corrupt looks to be coming along nicely in new developer footage. Now, this was the indie fighter where they claim that they were the first next-gen fighter, and that's still true because we're going to see a lot of cross-generation games. Even Guilty Gear Strive is a cross-generation game. I'm sure King of Fighters 15 will be cross-generation, but apparently they're really pushing the systems to their limit, so this may very well be the first next-generation fighting game. Next story here, I actually found this on Reddit. One of Guilty Gear Strive's 5 DLC characters will be brand new according to the director, Daisuke Ishiwatari. But there's a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, there was an interview this morning that went up, but also a developer backyard, which I think was Friday, where they revealed more information. So you're getting a lot of information from Guilty Gear here. We have Lord Knight's complete Season 3 tier list for Dragon Ball FighterZ. I think I just put this in here twice. This doesn't actually look different. Okay, so we'll skip that. Ruffelmonger brought a Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown Guide, so be sure to check that out. Brought to us by eventhubs.com. Guilty Gear Strive, again, this is part of that big interview. Developers aiming to increase jump arcs, but there's a really lot of information in the interview. There's on the Guilty Gear subreddit, there's a pretty good breakdown because it isn't translated, so you may want to check that out. One Piece is getting a fighting game, but there's a catch. This is an Event Hub story. And the catch is it's mobile garbage, which of course we don't really know what that means. Is it going to be a fighter? Is it going to expand to consoles? The answer, probably not. I mean, it's hard to imagine a fighter that's on mobile that you don't verse people in, but there is Contest of Champions by Marvel, ridiculously successful. Kind of makes me throw up in my mouth a little, but it is what it is. The latest King of Fighters 15 trailer showed off a new mechanic that was pulled from KOF 12, and that is guard attacks. Let's see. And let's see. That's going to be it for now. Toonami starting up, so I think we're going to have to do 2 parts like we did last time. In this video, we've covered the news, and so we'll be going to tourneys in the next video, which we'll go into after Toonami. But as always, thanks for tuning in, folks.